The most important thing out of all the stuff we talked about is to find someone and a company that you trust and is going to get you to the finish line and take care of the things that you spoke about in the original conversation when you put together the best option for you. A lot of people have different opinions on real estate investors, and a lot of it's based on either just a random Google search or somebody that really probably has never worked with one. Sometimes real estate investors in general get a stigma, and don't get me wrong, there's probably some people out there that are operating in the wrong ways. But there is good things and bad things about working with a real estate investor. It really depends on what you're looking for and what you want to do. So one of the tough things about working with a real estate investor is that your property is, in most cases, not going to be sold at the absolute highest value. That can be a hindrance to some when they look at it as, hey, my house needs to sell for this much. But you also need to think about what the costs are with selling the property for that much. If you sell something for, let's use easy math, $200,000, you're going to have 6% of that to pay a real estate agent. In Pennsylvania, you're going to have 1% transfer tax as well, and then any repairs or anything that you would need to do to the home to sell that property on the market to a new buyer. So the pro there is that working with a real estate investor, you don't have to have any of those costs. The con there would be really that the number might not sound as big because of the actual sale price, but what do you entail on the other side? I would say, another thing that people talk about often is, a real estate investor wants to buy a property for cheap. And some people think that that's a con of working with a real estate investor. I would tell you that, the times that a real estate investor who's operating correctly and doing the right thing is buying a property for what it's worth based on what needs to be done to the home. So when you see a house that's getting sold for really cheap or that's sold for really cheap, I think that is a stigma that people talk about and they just really don't know what's going on. So I don't know if you've ever been to a property or walked into a friend's house that, is covered in boxes up to your shoulders and it's raining through their living room. Water damage, issues throughout the house, mold, so many different things that we run into that you don't see in a normal everyday lifestyle. So people really don't understand what's going on and how the deferred maintenance on that property or vacant home or whatever it may be has affected the actual value of the home. What they're looking at is the sale price in the area. Well, the goal is that eventually it can be sold for the highest market value, but to be able to do that work needs to be bought at a cheaper price to be able to invest in that home. So, to every con, there is a pro. And to every pro, I guess there's a con. So when I think about that, I would say a pro of working with a real estate investor is that it is an easy transaction. It's usually stress-free. You're not dealing with signs in your yard. You're not dealing with unlimited coming and going of showing your property. You're not needing to clean up your home on a regular basis and make your pillows look great and just make your house look clean. So the goal in that sense is a cash transaction. There's no realtor fees. There's nothing you have to fix. It is a stress-free, easy sale, and you're getting to the finish line. The con is that the actual sale price might not be as high, which we talked about earlier. So another advantage and pro, I would say, of working with a real estate investor is if you have some issues in the home, say something that you haven't gotten to over time or something that has affected a property because, it might have sat there vacant, it was inherited. You didn't really think that there would be issues over time, but you forgot to turn on the heat over the winter and the pipes froze. It causes a ton of issues within the house, and that deferred maintenance or things that go wrong in the house make it much easier for someone that doesn't need to move right into that home, capable of being able to purchase that property and taking on those issues. Especially, if I had a bad septic in Pennsylvania and I had to put a brand new septic in, it can be anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000, depending on the system. A conventional system to some EPA regulated system and everything in between, sand mounds and such as. Is that, something that you want to come out of pocket and afford, or would you rather let somebody else take care of that after the sale of the home? And you can sell without taking any money out of your pocket, and it can be reduced from the sale price. No one that's buying it to live there would be able or want to buy a property that has a bad septic. They can't really live there. It's going to cause an issue and be really hard to get financing on it. So that's another pro of working with a real estate agent. The most important part is that whatever you choose to do, it works best for you. In my business, in Honest Home Solutions, our goal is to be able to give every option. We work with a brokerage, Keller Williams, and if somebody would like to go the retail route and handle those things themselves, they can do that. If they would like to sell for a cash offer, not do any repairs, and make a decision that some of the stuff that's going on in the house and the updates that the property needs, it's something they just don't want to deal with. They don't even have the time or the mind capacity to have to deal with the stress that goes along with making phone calls, trying to get multiple estimates and those types of things. So it really depends on what somebody's looking for. We have multiple options that we tailor to the individual's needs, and sometimes it's financial needs, sometimes it's a convenience need, sometimes it's repair needs, sometimes it's a time frame, restraint on what they have, or sometimes it's just like, hey, I have to guarantee the sale to move to the next chapter in my life, and putting it on the real estate market doesn't guarantee the sale. So it really depends on what people need, how, the pros and cons of working with a real estate investor could affect them. But honestly, our goal is just to provide every option possible, put that on the table for the clients that we work with, and really just provide them with stellar service from start to finish, whenever the choice may be. The most important thing out of all the stuff we talked about is to find someone and a company that you trust and is going to get you to the finish line and take care of the things that you spoke about in the original conversation when you put together the best option for you. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. There's great things about working with a real estate agent. We have that, and you can go that route, and we can present that to you, what it looks like. There's great things about working with a real estate investor and being able to save some time and headaches that go along with maybe some deferred maintenance or repairs. And we have tailored options in between to help you save some equity in your home and make more money, but also relieve some of that stress of the work that would need to be done and updates that would need to be done. So we appreciate the question, and I'm glad that we can figure out the difference between the pros and cons of working with a real estate agent and investor.